Hey second graders, this is your math lesson for the week of May 11th. Last week we started our lesson with a mood meter check-in, so let's do that again this week. So looking at the mood meter, remembering that as we go up the mood meter our energy is going up, and as we go across our pleasantness is going up. Think about where you are on the mood meter right now. Remember, anywhere that you are is okay. But probably the best place for learning is in the green, where we're feeling things like calm and relaxed. Okay, so just do a quick mood meter check-in with yourself and think about how are you feeling this today. And if you want to get yourself into the green, what are some strategies that you can use to get there? Are you taking deep breaths? Are you counting? Are you picturing your best self? Maybe you need to take a quick movement break to get yourself calm. Think about what you need to do to make sure you're ready to learn and you are where you want to be on the mood meter today. Okay, and just as a review, last week we remembered all of the different ways that we can use to represent numbers. So we talked about standard form is just where you write the number normally. Expanded form is where we pull it apart using addition. So we say 200 plus 60 plus 4 would be the expanded form way to write 264, because there are 2 hundreds, 6 tens, and 4 ones. Okay, we also remember word form is where we spell out the number, so 264. And lastly, and this is the one that is important for what we're doing right now, is model form. And model form is where we draw out our number using hundreds, tens, and ones. And we draw the base 10 blocks that we would use to add them if we were adding them up in person. So remember, this is what a 100 looks like. This is a 10. And this is a 1. So if we were making that And this time, instead of subtracting 100, we're going to be subtracting 200. Go ahead and give that a try on your own. You can pause the video and see if you can solve that on your own. You might want to draw the base 10 blocks if you feel like you need them. Go ahead and pause and try to solve that problem. Okay, let's check your work. Hopefully you paused and tried to do it on your own. Let's check your work. So, 400. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 hundreds, 3 tens, and 2 ones. I'm going to subtract or take away 2 of those hundreds. So let's see what I have left. 100, 200, 210, 220, 230, 231, 232. That means my new answer is 232. You might have noticed that when I subtracted hundreds, there's a 0 in the tens place and a 0 in the ones place. So that means the tens place here and the ones place here didn't change. They stayed the same in our new number. Okay, next we're going to try subtracting tens. Oops. We're going to stick with that same number, 432. If you want to draw it again, you can. Okay, we have 432. And this time I'm going to subtract 10 from 432. Go ahead and give that a try on your own. Think about which place, the hundreds, tens, or ones place, which place is going to change when you subtract a 10. Okay, hopefully you gave that a try. So if I subtract a 10, that's the same thing as just getting rid of one of these tens. Let's count and see what I have left. 100, 200, 300, 400, 410, 420, 421, 422. My new number is 422. If you were thinking to yourself, oh, I think the tens place is going to change, because in this number, only the tens place has something in it, then you were right. Only the tens place changed that time. The hundreds place stayed the same, the ones place stayed the same, but the tens place changed from a 3 to a 2 because we took away a whole 10. Okay, now we're going to put those together. We're going to try subtracting a 100 and a 10 at the same time. So, get ready to try that. Our number this time is going to be 545. If you want to try to draw that number right now using base 10 blocks, go ahead and pause the video and try to draw it out. Okay, we are going to subtract 120 from 545. Okay, so we're taking away 100 and 2 tens, 0 ones. So think about which place or places is going to change in the number 545. Is the hundreds place going to change? Is the tens place going to change? Is the ones place going to change? How do you know? Okay, so I'm going to draw it out. You might not feel like you need to draw out the whole thing this time. Maybe you feel like, oh, I can do it without drawing it. That's okay. If you feel like you still want to draw it because it helps you understand what you're doing, that's okay too. So I'm going to draw it this time. I'm going to draw my hundreds first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundreds. 4 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths. And 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, when I look at my number, I can see that I am taking away 102 tens. I'm actually going to start with my tens first this time. I know I don't need to do anything in the ones place because that's a 0. That means the ones are going to stay the same. But I'm going to start in the tens place. I'm taking away 2 tens. Okay, that's the same as taking away 2 of these. So I'm going to cross out this one and this one. I'm not going to count yet because I'm not done yet. Next, I'm going to look in the hundreds place. I can see that I'm taking away 100. So I'm going to take away one of my hundreds. Remember, that's the same as taking away one of these. Okay, now I've looked at my ones place, nothing to subtract there. I'm looking at my tens place, I did that. I'm looking at my hundreds place, and I did that. So I am going to go ahead and count my numbers. I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 410, 420, 421, 422, 423, 424, 425. That means my new answer is 425. When I asked you about which places would change, you were thinking, I think the hundreds place will change and the tens place would change. You are absolutely right. Our hundreds place is different now and our tens place is different now. Our ones place has stayed the same. All right, so there's going to be some subtraction problems like this in your homework this week. Make sure that if you're working on your homework and you get a little confused, you can always come back to this video and watch it again so that you know what to do. Okay, we're going to practice one more strategy before you go work on your homework. Okay, in some of your work, you might see some problems where you get asked to count backwards. When we count backwards, it's kind of the same as skip counting. We're just going down and we're subtracting. So counting backwards by tens or by hundreds is the same as skip counting back. It's the same as subtracting. So we're going to do an example one together. If we have the number 637 and you get asked to count backward by 100s, it's the same as very first, starting by saying 637 minus 100. You know there's nothing in the tens place or the ones place here, so the only thing that's going to change is the hundreds place. So 637 minus 100, see if you can figure it out in your head, is going to be 537. Okay, let's look at the next one. 637 minus 200. Again, only that hundreds place is going to change. It's going to go down by 2. So it's going to be 437. Remember, we're counting back by 100. Next, we look at 637 minus 300. This time, we know that it's kind of the same as subtracting 3 from 6, and it's going to be 337. Look at the pattern. 537, 437, 337. What do you think the next one's going to be? If you think that 637 minus 400 would be 237, you are absolutely right. Okay, again, look at our pattern. 537, 437, 337, 237. What do you think the next one's going to be? If you said 137, you are absolutely right. Okay, if we subtract a whole other hundred, 637 minus 600, this time, when we get rid of the hundreds place, we're going to just be left with 37. You might draw a 0 there, but you know that that's not usually how we write numbers. So we're going to change it to just 37. Okay, so in your homework, when you see something that asks you to count backwards by tens or by hundreds, look for the pattern. Notice how the numbers change each time and which parts of the numbers might stay the same. You can also use a 100 chart to help you if you have one, or you can look in the homework assignment for the week for a tool on that. All right, second graders, make sure that you are working hard on your math this week, and when you're done, you can always send a picture to your teacher. We love to see your work, and we love to see how your brain is growing while you're doing your math this week. Remember, your goal is to subtract tens and hundreds from a 3-digit number. Good luck working on your work this week. I'll see you next week.